Mark, this deal does nothing towards the club debt unless the Glazers use it to pay it off, and that's extremely unlikely. Mate, there are so many ifs, buts and maybes on this deal. I mean, you could write War and Peace. You could write, I tried to do it yesterday, bullet point every concern I had, and I got to about 36, and I was like, there's just no point. I'm concerned, basically. Anyway, let's move on. These are the latest bits from Manchester United. I just want to just start off with the Glazer screw job here, because this is what's being reported by a number of journalists this morning, a number of outlets this morning. But ultimately, what the Glazers' problem was with the Qatari bid, and the Times were reporting it last night, is that Qatar's Sheikh Jassim promise to restore Manchester United to its former glories with a completely debt-free future did not amuse the Glazers, who saw the wording as implied criticism of their tenure. And you know what? I actually agree with this. Because there's a few people reporting this, that the Glazers never really liked the Qatari bid because of how vocal they were about what they were going to do to make Man United great again, and how they would clear the debt, and how they would build a stadium, and how they would make Man United great again. And it was seen by the Glazers, because they are incompetent, bitter bastards. They basically saw it as criticism. And ultimately, it was criticism, and it was 100% accurate. But it's really, really dangerous, isn't it? To you go and buy somebody's house, and I think this is what Mike Keegan said in the Daily Mail. You go and buy somebody's house and go, I really like the potential of the house, but inside it's an absolute shithole. Not only I'll give you this amount of money, but when I buy it, I'm gonna kit it out with all the latest carpets and furniture and everything. It's going to look really good. Why do the sellers give a shit what you're going to do to that house when you bought it? And why do they need to know that it's a shithole? So obviously I get that mentality, but on the other hand, it just shows you the grip of the Glazers on this football club, because they have run this football club terribly, and they have made a shithole of it, and they have loaded it with debt. And I think the issue is, and I spoke about this over the weekend, I never minded Qatar letting the fans know what they were going to do: clear the debt, money into the area, build a great stadium, compete with Man City. That was great to know. But the concern was always, why do the Glazers care about that? They don't care about that. You're not, Sir Jim has always been respectful of the Glazers. He's said what great people they are a year ago. He's always respected them. He's always spoken publicly about how great they are, how he respects them. On the other hand, there's another bidder going, yeah, well, we're going to make this club proper again. It's debt ridden, it's crumbling, and we're going to build it back again. So the Glazers have got a guy who basically not only wants to give them good money, wants to work with them, wants to keep them, and has spoken nicely about them. And then you've got somebody who doesn't want to work with them, just wants to buy it and build it back from their failures. Well, hello, we don't like the Glazers, do we, generally? They've destroyed our football club. But if you look at it from a human psychology point of view, you've got somebody kissing your arse who wants to work with you and give you good money, and then you've got somebody that's saying, we don't want to work with you, we just want to buy the club and get it back because you've ruined it. And ultimately, this has ended up being a Glazer screw job on Qatar, because Avram was over there, wasn't he? He was over there for GPs. He was over there for the World Cup. He was over there having a chat with them. There was talk of NFL games being played over there. So they've certainly, had chats with them. But ultimately, it's a screw job. They've gone with the guy that's their mate, haven't they? And they've screwed them over. But I mean, some people will say Sheikh Jassim never should have put out statements about what he was going to do with the club. But I actually disagree. I think the problem was it was almost a sale by PR, wasn't it? It was about what we're going to do. But it was always the Glazer decision, and that's the issue. If it was about what the fans wanted, we would have had a full sale, and maybe some of the things that Sheikh Jassim's camp was saying was aimed at the fans. But ultimately, the Glazers, if Sir Jim Radcliffe's offer was good and Sheikh Jassim's offer was good and some American firms was evil, They still could have chose the evil one if it was better for their pocket, and ultimately that's what they've done. Sadly, it looks like they played both Qatar and Sir Jim, so why should we believe Jim when he has done a deal with our enemies, says 2LP. See, I will laugh at both Sir Jim and the Glazers when they financially and footballing-wise ruin Man United and they have lost it at an even bigger loss, says Mud. Hi Mark, as far as I know, United were owned by the New York Stock Exchange and the Glazers family, which part of 25% did Sir Jim buy. We don't know Omar at the moment. He's certainly buying some of the stock exchange because they were going to sue him if he didn't, apparently. We now have to accept this ownership. How do we move forward? Can we be successful on the pitch? So many questions. I'm scared for the future, says Bolsey. And Andy Weatherall, welcome. Thank you very much for your gifted membership there. All about the dollars. Board could have rejected Sir Jim Ratcliffe, but they will pocket millions in bonuses. My company got big shares bought by investment company. Each of the 150 partners got $500,000 bonus. Seniors even more, says Big Zed. Yeah, look, I feel that you know, at the end of the day, there's some interesting stuff coming out as well from Mike Keegan. A lot of people. I'm trying to read the chat here. Oh, Keegan's gifted 50 memberships. Sorry, I thought Mike Keegan. Keegan has just been gifted 50 memberships. Sorry, I'm very glad that I didn't miss that. Thank you very much for that. He's just gifted 50 memberships. What a legend. On this sad morning for Manchester United. What would you say if the Glazers ripped the debt off with 1.4 million? Dan, I don't need to talk about... This is a very serious topic, and I'm not doing hypotheticals on things that psychologically might make people feel less frustrated about this scenario. They're not going to clear the debt. I know it will never happen, but we need to boycott all things United to get these scumbags out of our club, says Daniel. Well, it's not going to happen, Daniel, because since Saturday night, more and more Man United fans are getting on board with the Sir Jim offer. And as I said, hypocrites. But this is why we lose. We lose because, unfortunately, we've got people in our fan base that have got them, absolutely, they can be flipped like a pancake. One day they think one thing and the next they think another. They've got no backbone for a sustained effort to get this club back and out of the hands of the Glazers. They just haven't got it. They haven't. If we beat Sheffield United on Saturday night, they'll probably think we're going to win it all with Sir Jim and the Glazers again. It's a massive fan base, but unfortunately, it's also fragmented because of the mentality within the fan base to believe a story in the newspaper and suddenly change your morals. I mean, how you can go from I want a full sale and the Glazers out to actually I'm all right with another 3 year of the Glazers and Sir Jim being the sporting director. That's what I always wanted. Really, was just a new sporting director. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. But look, within the football club, and I can tell you this factually. Mike Keegan spoke about it in his article this morning, but I already knew it from this weekend from the number of messages that were going round. There's really a lot of people in the club that weren't happy anyway because of how things were going, and they're not happy this morning. Like key people in the football club, but I'm not talking about the board members who are going to make cash out of this. I'm talking about the day-to-day running of the club. There's a lot of people really unhappy because what they're expecting is that Sir Jim Ratcliffe will come in with his own people, whereas I think they felt that with a Qatari bid, they would come in and assess it all and give people chance. Look, there's people in that club who need replacing, and we know some of them, but not everybody's crap at their job in that place. But there is this feeling that Sir Jim will come in, clear house, and bring his own people into positions that he's worked with. For example, Sir David Brailsford, who was involved in the cycling team, is expected to get a key role at Manchester United. Knows nothing about football, but he's a Sir Jim ally. That these things are expected to happen, and there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people in United as well who are just gutted that the Glazers are staying in control because they've worked with them behind the scenes. They know how the Glazers work, and I've spoken to a few of these people anyway over the last few years, and the Glazers don't really run the football club in the sense that they're not there. Like if Marcus Rashford wants a new contract, Joel or Avram don't fly over or do a Zoom call on it. It's dealt with by Richard Arnold and people like that. So the Glazers, the way the club is run, it's more about the infrastructure, the future planning, and where the club's going. The morale is on the floor.